Yes, I am back in the saddle. I streamed yesterday morning too. I'm still getting stuff set up here. Do 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 do. Posting on Twitter and Blue Sky. And I can close this, shrink that, and oh, you were driving, or you were you were at the hospital when I streamed yesterday morning. It's fine. All right. I'm going to flip over to the camera, say hello, good morning. It is Thursday, December 5th. I am that developer grandpa, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Um, and I'm building .NET apps. But before I build .NET apps, I am going to pull my coffee off the Keurig and be right back. And then we'll talk about what I'm going to do today. So, yesterday, I talked through the system framework that I was developing while I was out sick. I've already got a system framework project built into the admin application, and I've got an earlier version of it built into the DM's familiar. And honestly, the one in the DM's familiar is more of a mental model, and the one in the existing admin project is a little bit more formalized on the component taxonomy and everything like that. But the code to enforce that taxonomy is really, really, really obtrusive. It requires just a ton of extra goop to be able to do the things that I want it to do. So, for instance, I've got my abstractions libraries here, and then I've got my implementations, and I've got not just the implementation of the components interface, but I've got all of this extra garbage in here that's all dedicated to building the component itself. And that's incredibly awful to work with. It's no fun whatsoever. Pardon me. So the system framework that I developed during the time that I wasn't streaming because I was really under the weather um, is much more transparent and much easier to work with from a development perspective. Like, we've got this service model and it's full of stuff. And I've got my utilities, I've got this logging behavior, all of these things. And really what I did was I just pulled this project out and rewrote it one piece at a time. And we ended up with a ship of Theseus kind of scenario where by the time I was done redeveloping this framework, um, it looked almost nothing like the the original iFX, and the developer experience in using it is much, 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 much better than what I've got here. So what I'm going to do is torture myself, and we're going to remove this guy. Yep. Goodbye. See you later. Now we're going to reveal in the Finder my SaaS admin. I'm going to run over here, come into iFX. You, my friend, are going to the trash. Goodbye. Now, I need another Finder window. I believe it is, come over here. I'll pull this over here so you can see what I'm doing. So here's the source folders for the SaaS admin. I'm over in my system framework repository. And rather than do anything with like NuGet packages or anything like that, I'm just going to grab this folder, copy it, paste it into iFX. There we go. Now, because I've just deleted the old iFX, if I try to build right now, it's going to be full of bugs. So let's go ahead and clean. Rebuild. And I expect to see a very large number under the problems tab down here in just a second. Oh yeah, you can see it lit up over here on the right with this angry orange that it's not very happy. And I've got like 13 problems over here with proxy builders and all kinds of stuff. So let's bring the new and improved framework and add it to my solution. Here we go. Select the project. And let's build this guy. We've got some problems. Typer namespace, service base could not be found. That's in the entrant provider. I don't care about the entrant provider. I just want to build this one. And I also want to create a new branch from main. Replace iFX with new system framework. Okay, good. And we can see that we've got all of these changes. Moves old iFX, places with new iFX. Commit. There we go. We can hide that for now. All right. So let's build the solution. And I should probably take a look at some of these other things here. .NET 8. I'm going to downgrade. Oh, look. It's been brought in as .NET 8 as well. Fantastic. Good, 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 good. Because I know over in the main solution, I had done it with .NET 9. Because I was doing some tire kicking. But it looks like it swapped this over. I'll get rid of this implicit usings nonsense. And we'll rebuild. I really don't like that implicit usings at all. And do we have problems? Oh, we've got lots of problems. Okay, let's fix up the issues throughout all of these things. Here we go. We'll just rip through this stuff. Fix the anger code where we find it. We need to bring in system.link. and generics. And threading tasks. Boop. Here's where we need link. All right. And we'll rebuild that project. Found more problems. That's okay. We can fix these very, very easily. And this is one of the reasons why I really don't like this implicit using being on by default, because I'm not always going to remember to turn it off when I add a new project or class. And then I end up finding myself in a world of hurt. Let's save all. And we'll close all. Rebuild again. And we'll have to go through this cycle a couple of times. But it looks like we're in good shape. Implicit usings to disable in the iFX project. Fixed the missing using statements. And we'll commit. Let's go ahead and publish the branch. Let's get this off my box. And take a sip of coffee. Now, I don't know if I'm going to get this reintegration done this session, but we're going to work towards it. Let's rebuild. Let's see if it's still finding problems in my iFX. I don't have anything in clients or engines yet, just managers and resource access. So here's tests. We've got a test console. Here's .env. I don't know if I have anything secret in .env right yet. Oh, I've got a few secrets in here, so I can't show you that file. But that's fine. Let's start working on the managers. Proxy builder, you're out. Yep, goodbye. Factory, you're out of here. Coming to customer account manager. Now, we no longer have a manager base. You're out of here. Goodbye. Now, we've got all kinds of goo that was necessary for the old way of doing things. That becomes that. Private iRules access. We can even go so far as to make it read-only. Private read-only. Read-only. Come out to the end. Get rid of this get proxy nonsense because we don't need it. We do need the customer builder because it's a private thing here. Contracts, we're good in here. iAccount manager, it inherits from manager service, which is a holdover from the old framework. It's one of the very few things that I actually kept. And I has a suspicion Yep. There's that damn implicit usings. Get rid of that. Let's build this guy. There's reams of code that we're going to be able to delete here in a second. Get config frag. Let's get rid of this. We don't need that anymore. Goodbye. Task. Boop. Now that is just a standard thing here. Do need to bring in using system. And this is just a walking skeleton. That's all this is. Get out of here. I picked the wrong fix. Silly thing. Excuse me. Account manager loader create customer profile async. Does not have the matching return type of task customer profile response. What is all of this nonsense? You know what? This is just, like I said, this is just a walking skeleton right now. Let's hide this. Go to the definition on this. Ah. There we go. Using system. I bet that fixed this up. Good. Now, I also do need to private read only logger, make it nullable, logger. And we need a constructor. Because one of the things with my new system framework that I really, really wanted was to make the developer experience for building the actual application components as simple and transparent as possible. So for now, we're not going to do a darn thing. What we will do is make these nullable. All right. Okay, and then we're going to need to come into Customer Builder, make sure it's okay. Oh yeah, we got some compiler errors in here. Because I did disable implicit usings. And maybe I'm being overly dogmatic about things, but I don't really care. Because I want to be able to come up here and see all of the things that my class is importing. And I want it to be explicit. I don't want future me, or if I had a team of developers working with me, I don't want them to have to mess around with what's this complaining about? Whatever. We'll fix that later. Save. Okay. So what do we got to do to get this to boot? And all I want to do is get the get it to compile, and then subsequently just load this manager. Let's fix all of our compiler errors first, obviously. So come into abstractions, rules access. Let's build this guy. And I don't see any errors here. Good. We'll fix our abstractions first. You are healthy. Let's just build all of them. Let's build the whole darn thing and see where the problems live. I know we're going to have some troubles in some of these assemblies. So we'll come into table provider first. Here we go. We'll start here. Okay, we want to keep the Azure table provider. We can get rid of the factory. Goodbye. Get rid of the proxy builder. Yep, you're out of here. We've got the connection string. Cool. Azure table provider, service base goes bye-bye. This actually, that goes away. We no longer need it. Just make that a private property for now. This is complaining. That's fine. All right, save. Yeah, and I'll just shut this up. Connection string equals string dot empty. Save. All right, Azure table provider has been repaired and greatly simplified. So we've got these service options. We'll deal with those in a minute. Table provider, it's right here. Now there's some issues that may become a problem, but we'll see. I might have to make those public, and if I do, it won't break my heart. Excuse me. This stuff all looks pretty all right. So let's come down to account access. We can get rid of the factory. You're out of here. You can get rid of the proxy builder. Let's come in here. We're just implementing iUser account access now. Here's that. Load user async, whatever. Blah, blah, blah. And we'll go ahead and add a constructor just while we're here. Close that. And then I believe we're going to have some compiler problems down here. We can get rid of the proxy builder. No. Delete. Goodbye. Yep. Get rid of the factory. See you later. Get rid of that. Come in here. Get rid of this service base. Identity vendor is MS Intra. Graph service client. Client secret stuff. MS graph options. We'll fix that stuff up in a minute. So we're definitely going to need to add a constructor. Yep, okay. And private read only MS graph options. Options. Not going to make it nullable. Options equals options. And now our constructor looks just like any other constructor we would use in a modern .NET Core application with dependency injection. All right, log exception async. We don't have that anymore. Because we are going to need a logger. Private read only logger. Go ahead and inject a logger factory here. Make it nullable. If, no, I'm not going to do that. What are you complaining about? What's the error here? Oh, duh. Forgot a comma. Logger factor, logger equals that. Okay. Dot log error. There. Save. Rules table proxy builder. Oh yeah, we've still got some goop up in here. Let's just rebuild. Because it's complaining about classes that don't exist. All right, and now we can come into Program CS. And let's find these errors. Get rid of that. Configuration, configure standard dependencies, get account manager, load results. Where's my errors in here? All right, here we go. Yeah, that's no longer valid. Goodbye. Figure standard depths. Let's get rid of all of this nonsense. And we'll replace our stuff eventually. All right, so our main pattern for using the new system framework, var app bootloader equals create boot logger, save. Static logger, create bootloader. This dot stop. Oh, I can't use this. Name of program. There, that'll do. I'm gonna rename this guy to build utility. Collection. Build utility provider. Because it is returning a service provider. Save that. So we've got our service builder, add logging, build service provider, yeah. Cool. And I want to take in a logger boot log. Get rid of that. Bootlog.log. Information. Configuring utility provider. Bootlog.log information. Set logging utility for app services. Okay. Where's that bootlogger creator? There we go. Logger dot log information app boot logger created. And yes, it needs a semicolon. add the bootloader to this. Got that. This. Load system configuration. Excuse me. iLogger, bootlog. And I do need to bring in another assembly or another project from my new system framework. Bear with me for just a second. Because env.load no longer really works well. Or at least it didn't under .NET 9. But let's see if it'll behave itself here. Bootlog. Configuration loaded. If debug. And if bootlog.log information load custom environment variables from .env file. All right. Let's see if we can get this guy to spin up. Let's give it one more build. Looks like we build without problems. And let's see if we can function F5 this guy. All right, we're on our breakpoint. Let's step over here. Pop in here. Load custom environment variables from .env file. Step out. Now, I do want to interrogate system config. So, system config dot get section. And I need to hide my screen for a second because I got to look some stuff up here. So let's pop in here, and customer account manager is what it's called. Get section, customer account manager. Okay, I'm back. Now, to interrogate and make sure that I've gotten stuff from this customer account manager, or that the customer account manager settings have loaded, I've got 13 sections here. So we've got some good drive nonsense, iRules access, user identity access, user account access, yeah. And this is sort of like the beginning of where my configurable architecture came from. But we're going to replace all of this nonsense with other things. Now, I do want to do one more test. And what I can probably do is just come out here to system configuration configuration section view, customer account manager, iRules access, user account, sunken drive nonsense, user identity. That's the assembly. I need to see if it actually pulled my secrets. Client ID. Yep, good. We're good. And I don't care that I revealed the client ID. That's not super secret. But we pulled all that stuff in. Now, the reason in here in the load system configuration, I wrapped this in the if debug flag is because in production, the settings that I have in that .env file, which is part of my git ignore, that .env file never makes it up to source control. And I don't want to use a .env file when I'm in production because I want to set those environment variables through whatever mechanism my hosting environment makes available to me. I'll be hosting this in an Azure App Service, and I can just go in and set all of these environment variables through that. Yes, for secrets, I should be using Key Vault, but I don't want to pay for Key Vault yet. So I'll just use environment variables and lockdown access to me. I don't have a bunch of employees going in and looking at stuff and all of that. So I'm not super worried about that at this point. So we've got the JSON file, app settings JSON, and the environment variables and all that good stuff. Now, I do need to grab that architecture stuff. And that's probably one of the last things I am going to do during this session because I do have some time constraints this morning. So we can close these guys. And I need a new Finder window. I'll just pop over to code. System framework, source. Come into the test console. And this system framework is in my GitHub. Here we go. Open with, screw it, Visual Studio Code. And you know what? I'm going to grab this whole shebang. Copy. Paste. S. Now, I do want to come over into my configure utilities again. Nope, go away. Get. Go on, get. Build utility provider. And how am I doing that over here? Let's just pop this guy open here. So here's the other one. Yeah, I know it's not part of the open workspace. Fine. Build configuration, build utilities. Go to definition. Here we are. So configure logging. I need to load my configuration and the logger and all this stuff. So let's go ahead and drop into here. Grab this method. Copy. Close. Paste this. We've got our iService collection. What I want to do is, actually what I'm going to do here is we're just going to pop that down a few lines and say service builder equals configure logging with the service builder. I'm going to need to pass the system config in a minute. So and the boot log. And what's that complaining about? Where am I? No need for such strongly typed logger down here. All right, so what this does, this configure logging, and what I want to do is pull that up to the previous line. And I'm going to come down to here, pop that into its correct place here. All right, so what this does is we take the service builder and we add logging. We pass in the log builder argument. We try to get the logging section out of our config file, which we've got right here. And then we add the configuration and we add the console. And of course, we can bring in things like, I don't know, nlog, or what's the really popular one? Oh, it's the name of the logging package that everybody loves to use in enterprise development is eluding me right now. But that's fine. If I wanted to use a different logging provider or whatever, I would modify that stuff here. This isn't part of our actual system code. This is just a host. So global logging added to shared services. Global logging could not be added. System will not log at runtime. Here's the configuration. Add console, blah, blah, blah. We return the service builder. All right, so configure logging. What are you complaining about? New service collection. We have to be explicit here because we're dealing with interfaces. We want to deal with interfaces as often as we possibly can. And we can get rid of that manual thing there. All right. When we need to add things like an HTTP client factory and other non-domain specific services to the utilities provider. We'll do that here. Cool. And it's still complaining about something because build utility provider needs the configuration object. System config, save, console.writeline. Hello world. I want to do something silly out here. Bootlegger dot log information. Nothing more to do. I'ma take a nap right here. And let's run it. Bonk. You got to make the sound effects. All right, and you know what? Let's just get rid of the breakpoint. And we see that we've got our app bootlegger created. We're loading the customer environment variables from the end file. And I want to make that a little bit more explicit about why. Running in local debug mode, save F5. Running in local debug mode, load custom environment variables from .m file, configuration loaded, configuring utility provider, global logging added to shared services, set logging utility for app services. That is redundant log statement. So let's get rid of that. Save. Hello world. Nothing more to do. I'm going to take a nap right here. We changed it, so we've got to test it again. Happy land. All right, program 0, blah, 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 blah. And there we go. Good stuff. So we've got it almost, well, okay. We haven't got it fully integrated. We haven't got it really almost integrated, but we're getting close. What we have done is we've completely replaced our system framework. We've fixed all of the code that broke when we swapped one iFX project out for the new one. We've got our logging and stuff like that configured better. And we've simplified all of our implementations drastically. Oh, we must have there must be a vulnerability detected in that Azure package. We'll fix that up later. But yeah, we've got all this stuff. We've got some compiler warnings, but we'll get those smoothed out over time. I'm really not that worried about a warning pass yet, because most of these warnings are because I'm not assigning dependencies to the components yet and so on. We're going to do that this afternoon. But for now, I've got a phone call in about 14 minutes that I need to get myself in a state where I can have a conversation about these things that they want to converse about. So I will say, see you this afternoon. Take care of yourselves and happy coding.